Hey guys, Charlie here with a cool little tutorial today I have for you is how to make a custom thumbnail for YouTube. And this is not just how to make a custom thumbnail, but more like how to make a custom thumbnail that sort of incorporates elements of your video into it. So today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this screenshot I have of a new video that I just uploaded. It's called, I'm calling it Things I Learned Today, or I'm abbreviating it to be just Tilt. And I have basically the show of me talking into it like this. And what I'm going to do is I've created a screenshot of that. So right here, it's me with a nice little face and happiness and stuff. And I'm going to go ahead and incorporate this image into my thumbnail, and I'm going to do it in Photoshop and then upload it to my channel with a custom thumbnail. Now, of course, the maximum size for the file is 2 megabytes, and you have to be you have to have partner features for YouTube in order to be able to get this button for a custom thumbnail. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up Photoshop CC. You can do this in CS6, CS5, CS4, whatever version that you actually have. I just happen to have CC. And I'm going to go ahead and create a new document. I'm going to call it Tilt Thumb. And we're going to have it be, the width is going to be 1280 pixels by 720 pixels in height. I'm just going to leave the resolution at about 100. This is like a default setting I have for 720p videos that get thumbnails, and the image size ends up being 2.64 megabytes, which is really small, but it's still a little bit higher than the 2 megabyte. So when we export it, we are going to essentially export it for web and dumb down the quality just a little bit so that it gets under 2 megabytes big. All right, so let's get started. So I'll go ahead and hit OK. This is my 720p resolution screenshot. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do then is I'm going to place that screenshot image that I got into my composition. So there it is. Hello, it's me. And I'll just go ahead and hit return to place it. Let's turn off the grid lines so you can see it. What I want to do is I want to have a nice, cool, smooth gradient behind him, and I want only me to be in that gradient. I don't want any of this background stuff to be in this gradient or in this image. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and grab either the magnetic lasso tool or the polygonal lasso tool, which I'm just going to use the polygonal one because you can just click and drag. And I'm going to just make a little, I guess, draw a little area around me so that it can be removed. Now you can go ahead and make this as close or precise as you want. I like to have it be basically have a little room, because that's just how I like to do it. So there's this. Now, if there was a lot of contrast in the image, you can also use the magnetic lasso tool as well, and this will make things a little bit better. If I'm not even going to have to edit or cut anything out. I'm just going to hit Command J on the keyboard, and that's going to duplicate the layer with only the selection. So if I turn off the original image, now it's just me over the white background and then me over transparency. But you can do this any way you want. If we try and do it with the magnetic lasso tool, just to show you the difference, I could start like, say, here, and then as I slowly move around the edge, the magnet kind of grips to the like shaded pixels that are around me. And this is, it's a little bit slower as far as tracing goes, and you can also click to make one if you'd like. So if it's not making a point where you want it to, you can click as well. It's a little slower, but it's a lot more precise. So you just have to take the time to really kind of trace yourself out. And so I'm going to go ahead and just trace myself out with this magnetic tool, and then we'll zoom ahead in the future. Okay, I'm back. So let's go ahead and just click this right here. And now I'm highlighted. And you'll also notice that sometimes when you get to the lower end of the frame, like if you're at the very bottom, it will start to kind of jump up around a little bit at the bottom. Usually with the magnetic lasso tool, if your image you're trying to highlight is on the edge of something, you'll sometimes won't get a smooth edge, but that's okay. I'll tell you how to fix that in a second. We're going to go ahead and hit Command J. That'll duplicate that layer, and then we'll shut the other one off. And now you have, there you go. So this is me highlighted, and that actually looks really good. So it looks a lot better than what this one does. But depending on how your image is, depending on what you have in the background, you might need to use the polygonal tool. If you have if you don't have very much contrast, sometimes that doesn't work. So I'll show you how to fix this. If you have to use the polygonal tool and you trace around it because the magnetic one isn't working for you, you can have your image look like this. And then what we're going to do here is I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and we are going to take the eraser, and I'm going to make this brush size a lot smaller. I need to make it smaller. All right, so this is relatively, it's a little bit big. Let's put this down. This one's okay. So this is the size okay. I'll just take the eraser and just sort of, go around the edge of your image, right? So that's how you'll have to fix it if you have the polygon. You'll just have to take the eraser and go around the edge of your image. Try not to, go too far. You can always adjust the size of your paintbrush here, or your eraser. You can always adjust the size of it whenever you need to. Okay, so we've got this thing how we want it now, and what we're gonna do now is create the thumbnail. So I'm gonna just take ahead, I'm gonna go ahead and make sure this layer is selected, and I'm gonna hit Command T to turn into transform. And I'm gonna use the transform tool. I'm just gonna kind of move myself over here. And I'll make myself just a little bit bigger, and maybe slide it down just a tad. So this is me being all happy that I'm here. So now I've gotten rid of that jaggedy edge down at the bottom. So this is me. So the second thing I want to do is create a nice little gradient around the background. So I'm going to go ahead and select the background layer. I'm going to go ahead and create this nice little color here, and we're going to add a gradient to this back panel. So let's go gradient overlay. Looks like this, and let's choose this color. So this is my color that I'd like. It's a nifty little gradient. Turn myself back on, and now I'm standing in front of this gradient, which is pretty cool, I guess. It could be better, but it's gonna be fine for now. Actually, I kind of want to reverse this gradient a little bit. So let's have it be, let's have this color kind of crouch up just a little bit. If I scale it down, I can actually make it like a solid line, but I think I like the way this was. But I like to reverse it so that the top is up here and the bottom is down there. So that's what I'm gonna do. Change the opacity just a little bit so that's not quite so dark. Looks good. All right, so that's how I want it. That's me. Hi, I'm Charlie, and this is me being happy. And I'm wearing I'm on a boat shirt, which is great. I like that shirt a lot. So we're gonna go to the text tool now, and I'm gonna create a new layer, a new text layer. And I'm just gonna draw a box right here, and I can write maybe the title of my show or whatever I want for my thumbnail. It's pretty easy, so I'll just go ahead and type things I learned today. Pretty easy. So I'll go ahead and make this a little bit bigger, and I don't like this font. This font is not something that I want to have, so I'm gonna go ahead and adjust my workspace, which I'm gonna go over here and go to typography so I can actually adjust the type. Your workspace templates and layout that you have might look a little different, but this is what mine looks like. And I'm gonna go to characters, and let's change this to, I don't know, I almost wanna do like a simpler font like this, but it's really, really thin and hairlined, and that doesn't really look very well. Maybe like semi-bold instead. Nah, that doesn't look good at all. So let's try a different one. Let's go with, my logo is made with Edo, or Edo, I think it's called. So I'll do this. It's a nifty little font, and I don't want this thing's justified right now. I don't want that. So yeah, that's not bad. It looks like a little paintbrush. I mean, yeah, some people might think it looks terrible, but I don't think it looks that bad. I think it's just like a paintbrush. So I'll make this a little bit bigger so it takes up more room. Things I learned. Ooh, that's good. Really big thing. There we go. And slide it down. Things I learned today. Maybe today and learn should be on the same line, I think, maybe. So let's make sure those are on the same line. Things I learned today. And it's a little bit crowded. So maybe if I center it like in paragraph form, right? Maybe if I do this. Nah, I like it better with the other way. It's really an experimentation, really, just trying to figure out how you want your thing to look as an experiment. So if I move myself over a little bit, I'll have room for this. So let's just move myself over just a little bit, like that. That's pretty good. It's a little bit of transparency showing at the bottom, so let's do it there. There you go. And then I can put things I learned today like that. Not bad, not bad. Now, of course, if you want to place a logo or something, you can go to place, And then I'll find my logo that I have, which is like here, I think. Yeah, I can just place a logo if I want, you know, make it a little smaller. You'll notice I like this color. If it hasn't been shown to you before, I like this color. So that's, you know, you can do whatever you want here, but this is like an example of how you can make a thumbnail that works for your video. Essentially, it's pretty cool. So what I'll do, I'll go ahead and I'm just gonna hit save for web. And when I hit save for web, it'll tell you the estimated size of the file and whatever. So you can see this file is really small. There's no way we're gonna go over the limits. So we'll keep it at 100%. And look, still 302 kilobytes. So it's not going to be over the 2 megabyte limit. It's really easy. So that's how we're going to do it. I'll go ahead and just hit save. And I'll do tilt thumb JPEG. Go ahead and hit save. And now when I go back, I'm here. And I'll go ahead and hit custom thumbnail. This will drop down the dialog box. I'll go ahead and find my tilt thumb JPEG that I just made. And I'll go ahead and hit open. And it will upload that thumb to YouTube. And now that is, oops, don't hit change image, just make sure that's selected. Hit save changes, and now that will be my thumbnail for the video. Now, of course, it doesn't take effect right away, especially if you've already published it. It doesn't take effect right away. So you'll notice that, you know, this right here is basically, it's not gonna show here yet, but it will later, right? So it will like give it like an hour or so, and it will eventually show on the video. So that's how you create a custom thumbnail and publish it to YouTube. It's not a hard thing. It's pretty easy. If you have the ability, if you have that feature unlocked in YouTube, it's pretty easy. Yeah, so if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Thanks. Oh, and check out my new show if you want. You don't have to. I'm just gonna do it for me, but it's cool. I'm gonna talk about some things that I learn every day, Monday through Friday, and maybe you'll learn something too. Learn along with me. See ya.